Hello, I'm Robert Dimbleby, Publishing Manager at Hogrefe, and I'm sitting here with one of our favorite authors, Dr. Ryan M. Niemiec, Chief Science and Education Officer at the VIA Institute on Character. He's also author of a number of books that we've published in our positive psychology list, the latest being the second edition of Mindfulness and Character Strengths, as well as a brand new companion workbook for clients, the Mindfulness and Character Strengths Workbook. Ryan, how have you been enjoying IPPA 2023 so far?
Well, first of all, hello everybody. It's great to be here, Rob. Always great to connect with you as
Yeah.
longtime friends. And um, it's the IPPA's conferences and the European ones as well are the ones that I always look forward to the most because this is a chance when I really get a chance to connect with old friends and colleagues, but also to connect with new colleagues. And to be honest, we start to come up with all sorts of new studies and projects and ideas. So it can be a bit overwhelming because of all the new ideas that come in. But it's so much fun as well. So I usually need to sleep for about 6 weeks afterward, and that's the way it goes. But it's worth it.
I can well imagine that, Ryan. You had a pre-conference workshop that I gather was very successful, and you've had other sessions during the meeting. How have they gone from your point of view, and what are your takeaways?
Sure. Yeah. So we're always trying to find ways to bridge the science and the practice of character strengths and mindfulness and a lot of these concepts in positive psychology. So we tend to do workshops that help people to really practically apply it immediately in their daily life. And that's really what the audience often wants. It could be scientists that want to apply it more to themselves or come up with new ideas, but also practitioners to apply it to themselves and bring it forth in new ways. Um, and a couple of the recent ones you and I were just talking, a couple recent presentations on the character strengths. We had standing room only.
You were overflowing, weren't they? I was
Yeah.
outside of some of those meeting rooms.
Yeah, we were causing fire
cool.
hazards in some ways. I invited people to please just sit on the floor, stand in the back. That was kind of thrilling to have so much enthusiasm and interest. It's not uncommon for the topic of character strengths at these conferences because people realize that, gosh, there's so many ways I can apply this to make my life and the people I care about's lives better. So everybody, I mean, I too need to learn more about this. We all need to learn more about this. So it's not uncommon to have that, but it's still thrilling to have that reception.
You touch on a subject there, the application of science in practice. What do you think have been the key piece of research that you've heard about in the last year or two that you could think about applying, or others could think about applying in practice?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question, and there's lots of different angles to go with it. On a most straightforward level, the strongest piece of advice at this point is for people to take the VIA survey, which measures for free one's highest character strengths. Very, as you know, Rob, very popular measure. Someone takes it every 9 seconds of every minute of every day. So to get that assessed and then to look to one's highest character strengths, top 5, top 7 strengths, and use those in a new way each day. And so the science is repeatedly showing us that has good benefits for well-being, good benefits for flourishing and strengths use, even can lower depression. So yeah, great benefits. And then of course we can go much further to multi-step programs of applying this work.
Okay, so it's not just one piece of research, but multiple,
Yeah,
which is also really
keeps
cool
coming.
for the research. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've just launched a new edition of your book and a companion workbook. Why was the timing right now to bring out a new edition? I think the first one was 10 years ago.
It was 10 years ago, yeah. So it's great timing for a number of reasons, but one is that we needed time for the science to unfold on this program because we're not just kind of throwing out ideas and hope it's going to work, but instead it's what is the science saying about the connection between mindfulness and character strengths, and the application of this program that we're talking about, mindfulness-based strengths practice, so MBSP. So how are people applying it in the workplace, and what are the scientific studies saying about it in the workplace or in schools or in other contexts? And so we had enough research studies and theoretical studies, as well as people that were just applying it extensively in their own life, in their daily life, and with their clients. And it was enough to say, okay, we need to give some updates to the
Mhm.
program, to the MBSP program, and give some updates on the science of mindfulness and character strengths and how they come together. And so in the new edition of the book, it's, as Hogrefe and I, as we all talked, it's almost like a revamped book.
Yeah.
So it's a completely different book. It's still the MBSP program. It still has similar chapter structure, some different things, but it would be new in some ways to a reader that's even familiar with a little bit with mindfulness and strength. So, yeah.
And just talking to people at this meeting, they've been positive about the fact that there's now a companion workbook, which saves the course, the people running the course, a lot of work and effort. So that's another cool addition, I think.
That's right. Yeah, for the first time, the Mindfulness and Character Strengths workbook. Yeah,
Yep,
so
this is
thrilling.
cool.
So that's right there for all the MBSP participants. So a leader takes the MBSP book, Mindfulness and Character Strengths, and then they have all of their clients, all of their students, all of their employees get the Mindfulness and Character Strengths workbook, which is a lower price, of course, for clients and students, and then they have everything they need to be able to experience MBSP that they're also doing with the group.
So the first feedback we've had on that has been very positive. On another tack, Brian, you're co-founder of a division of the association. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and why and what your role is there?
Sure. Yeah, happy to. So you're talking about the Spirituality and Meaning division.
I am, yes.
And so I'm co-founder and president of that division, and which really has the focus of studying, advancing, aggregating, disseminating the science of spirituality and meaning in life. And we look at spirituality in a broad way. Scientists define it as the search for or communing with the sacred. So, or that which is really holy or special to any individual. So that might be nature, it might be a relationship, and so it's about that connection that we have to something outside of ourselves. And for a lot of people, it's also the connection deep within, and that what gives us a deep meaning and purpose. So we wanted to really highlight that important science that's already been happening in spirituality and meaning. And spirituality in particular hasn't gotten a whole lot of attention in the field of positive psychology. So we really wanted to elevate that in that way. And so we do a number of things in the division. We have a scientific speaker series that we offer each month. We have a spiritual experiences group that people come together to share their transcendent or meaningful experiences in a safe place. So a lot of nice activities going on because of that division.
Okay, so that's really nice to know. So, Brian, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me here today, or to talk to us today. I think we're moving on to lunch now, so it's not really spiritual, but the physical is also something that we need.
We can bring mindful attention to what we're eating and be mindful of how we consume and how much we consume. So it applies there as well. So
sounds excellent advice, Brian. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me, Rob. Thank you.